National Waterways Festival in Peterborough?
Yes, pop on.
Room for one more?
Yes, sir.
Well, no wonder they call this the greatest boat show on earth. There are hundreds of thousands of people here in Peterborough for the National Waterways Festival. 500 boats are moored along a 2-mile stretch of the River Nene. There are 400 caravans, 300 exhibitors. In scale and in enthusiasm too, this really is a mammoth event. And it's not all visitors who are here. There are lots of locals here too, especially locals from the Peterborough churches. And they're an enthusiastic lot. Now, if we're going to ask them to work so hard singing hymns this afternoon, the least we can do is to make sure they have jolly good fun while they do it. And the man to keep us all happy is Radio 2 Good Morning Sunday presenter, John McLean.
Oh, no, please. No, please.
I'm
Don't
surprised
stop.
you're still awake, you know, because didn't you get up at the crack of dawn for Good Morning Sunday today?
Oh, yes, I get up at 4:45 on a Sunday morning, you know.
You haven't peaked too early or anything, have you?
Yeah, I peaked ages ago. I was very good this morning.
Isn't it nice to see the face behind the voice you know so well? You know, when I sat in his seat for one occasion while he was on holiday, there was a letter from someone who hadn't seen you, didn't know what you looked like. She said that she thought that you were 20 stone and had a big wide face. And then she saw your photograph and couldn't understand how slim and youthful you were. And I thought your mum's writing was really very good for her age.
You know why, don't you? Because the other week on Summer Praise, you compared me to a Vietnamese pot-bellied pig.
Surely.
I mean, I
And
may be
a female one to boot.
I may be a bit of a bore, but I'm definitely not pot-bellied, you know.
John, you're a smasher. Now, let me introduce you at this point to the man with the baton in charge of the hymn singing today, Paul Leddington Wright, and his merry band of musicians who've decided on this occasion they want to be known as the Little Sunbeams. And I think we're all raring to go with our first medley of hymns. Come on and celebrate. This whole event is to raise money for the Inland Waterways Association, who lead the campaign to restore and maintain out-of-use and derelict stretches of the 2,000 miles of waterways that remain in this country. And that means a lot of hard and often unglamorous work by volunteers like these who quite happily spend their weekends up to their knees in sludge and cement.
We're a group of people, any age from 16 upwards, who work all over the country on different canal restoration projects. We're really like a coordinating body. We have our own local groups who go out and do work for different canal societies. And we have people coming on things like this, which are week-long canal camps. We have 20 weeks during the summer to get perhaps some longer-term work done on the different canals that we work on.
And they're all volunteers?
All volunteers, yes.
Ironically, bringing new life to the waterway means destroying the plants and wildlife that have flourished on the stagnant water here for 50 years. So the volunteers are saving both the canal and its wildlife by creating a nature reserve nearby.
It's obviously very important that the nature that's in the canal doesn't suffer. So that's why the nature reserve, having been built with flowing water, will create the conditions the canal had. And therefore we can put sort of the plants back into a condition whereby they will survive.
Further up the canal, the newly restored Frankton locks are a sight worth seeing, a reminder that all the hard work is worthwhile.
At first I did it because it was something different, and now it's actually wanting to see the canals opened and wanting to, be able to bring a boat through, and that'd be really something special.
Years ago, if you had a cargo of coal or grain that you wanted to move from one end of the country to the other, the road system just simply couldn't cope. And that simple problem led to the building of a watery network of transport routes, the canals, which were originally planned to link up the four main ports of the country. That was Hull and Liverpool, London and Bristol. So canals like this one, the Grand Union, were really the motorways of their day. Although you could only travel along them at about 2 miles per hour, and it could take a whole week to get from London to Birmingham. Now, the people who worked on these boats were only paid providing they were carrying a cargo, and so they were constantly travelling. The work was hard, it was dirty, it was isolating, and yet those families had an intense pride in the boat that was not just their livelihood, but their home too.
It's 5 in the morning, it's an hour to the dawn. And the frost it is, I'm in the bank. I'm down in the engine pumping the oil to be tanked. It's swing on the handle, compression top down, and let her run up to full power. It's just the same way on a morning in May when the chestnut blooms in flower. When the chestnut blooms in flower, the chestnut blooms in flower. It's just the same way on a morning in May when the chestnut blooms in flower.
Well, although the cargoes that these boats carried was filthy, the living quarters inside was usually spotless. This is fairly typical, and look at the lovely things in here, the laced china, the sparkling brasses, and crochet, which was a very common hobby amongst the boat women. And although this area is perhaps 7 foot across, there may have been a family of 6 or even more living in here. But, as you can see, I'm not actually afloat. I'm in the Canal Museum here at Stoke-Burren. And let me, at this point, introduce you to Sheila Stewart, who's recently written a book on boat women. What did the people who lived in ordinary houses think of the boat people, Sheila?
Well, they looked down upon them. They thought they were dirty and very harsh to their children. But really it was very difficult to keep clean when you were hauling coal. And although they may look dirty during the daytime, it didn't mean to be that they actually went to bed like that. As a community, they were very tightly knit. They were very tightly knit as a family unit, and then as a community along the cut. That was their village, really, the whole length of the canal.
My husband used to work the engine boat, and I had the one behind it. And the children, well, because I was grown up, we used to get out and get the locks open and ready for us, and help us in it that way.
What about you, Mary? What do you remember of growing up as a child on the boat?
Oh, I enjoyed it very much. It was a lovely life. It was healthy. Made our own sports. When we were waiting for the coal at the coal mines, used to make a swing and swing. Enjoyed it. A lovely life.
It wasn't all play, though, was it?
Oh, no, all play now. I used to work hard as any man.
What about you, Jenny? What do you remember of those early days?
I remember a lot. I was 10 when we came off the boat. But prior to coming, the year before, I'd spent at the hostel for boat children in Erdington, Birmingham.
So you'd had no education at all before then?
Not before then, no.
So did you have an incentive to learn to read?
Yes, I have a Bible here. It's a tatty old Bible, but holds a lot of memories. It was given to me by Brigadier and Mrs. Fielding, who were Salvation Army officers, who had the boat salvo, and they were missionaries to the boat people. That's the picture of them there. They promised me that when I learned to read, they would give me a Bible. And when I went to the hostel and came back after the first term to come back onto the boats with Mum and Dad, this is what they gave me, because I came back able to read.
isn't
Lovely,
it?
lovely. Well, it's a marvellous weekend. It's come back here, the festival to Peterborough, I think the first time in 17 years, and the people of Peterborough and surrounding areas, and also the people from miles around have come down, because it is such a wonderful, warm festival.
But are you a boater yourself then?
Well, I'm not much of a boater, strangely enough. I used to go on boating holidays on the Norfolk Broad when I was a kid. The family used to go, we went for about 3 or 4 years. We loved that. I've always liked the sea and rivers and canals, but I don't know, perhaps it's because I'm so lacking in technical prowess. Actually frightens me a bit.
Talking about being frightened, have you seen this terrifying bungee jumping behind you? We've put your
Nothing.
name down it.
I did it last year.
Did you?
I've done a bungee jump, yeah.
And?
Yes, well, it is. I mean, the only time you're frightened, actually, is when you're going up in the crane. Because you're standing there thinking, what am I doing? And once you get there and they say, right, we're going to count 5, and you've got to put your arms like that and dive as if you're diving off a diving board. And then that's it, it's over. Before you can say Jack Robinson, you're bouncing around like a good one, you know.
What is it about these boats that fascinates you so, Tony?
Well, initially, I suppose what drew me in was the paintwork, and because I'm an artist and a painter by intent.
There are familiar symbols in the painting that pop up time and time again. What do they mean?
The roses and castles are probably the best known ones, but really the first glance it's all the bright colours. That's not too surprising because all the barges around the country from the Doffers bars we know have been chosen to paint quite brightly, but the patterns on the rudders, the diamond patterns, they're unusual. The hearts and clubs and so forth on the cabin slide. It's an extraordinary amalgam.
Not everyone who comes to the Waterways Festival is a boating enthusiast. Some just come for the atmosphere and a chance to let off steam.
Down my burden, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my burden, down by the riverside. I ain't gonna study war no more, no. Ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more, no more. Down by the riverside, I'm gonna lay my burden down. I ain't gonna study war, no study war, no. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more, no more. Down by the riverside, I'm gonna lay my sword and shield. I ain't gonna study war, no study war, no more. I'm gonna try on my starry crown. Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna try on my starry crown. Down by the riverside, I ain't gonna study war no more, no. Ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more, no more. Down by the riverside, gonna try my starry crown. I ain't gonna study war no more.
Amid the fun and noise of this busy festival, our hymn singing is not the only Christian activity going on here. The trouble with huge events like this, Gary, is that it's so difficult to find a quiet corner to put your feet up, but we found one here, haven't we?
Indeed, we felt as a church that in a festival of this size, and knowing there wasn't going to be a specific Christian presence, that it was a terrific opportunity for us to come and provide somewhere quiet, relaxing, where people could just relax in a busy day. We've had visits from Christians from all over the country, and that in itself has been very encouraging, and we've been able to share in fellowship with them. But more importantly, we've had a lot of interest from non-Christians.
It's put you in a very visible position, though, hasn't it, personally?
Well, we're trying to sell the gospel, and if you're going to sell something, you've got to get your product up front.
So Don, here we are in the middle of a huge boating event, and we're having a Christian sing-song. What do you think about that?
Well, it's a great idea. I mean, this is Christianity competing, isn't it? There are lots of things that people can go and see at this boating event all over the place, but most of them have chosen to come to see us this afternoon.
You, of course, have been a Christian all your life, but you've really come out in terms of your faith, and everybody recognises you. You've got
I don't know how you say that. I never thought there was anything different about this, and when I was suddenly asked to do Good Morning Sunday, it seemed that the BBC thought that being a comedian and being a practising Christian was something peculiar. I didn't think so. I mean, all I'm trying to do on a Sunday morning is say to all those people who are listening, God loves you.
Narrowboat holidays are great fun for disabled people too, but difficult to organise unless the boats are specially designed, like the Hannah, which was built with money raised from the sale of a large chain of London pubs owned by a man who turned business into pleasure, David Bruce.
My father was severely disabled by polio and was on crutches, and my mother used to work for the Sue Ryder Homes and Bernardo's, so I think I had quite a sort of family influence, probably. Although by trade I'm a brewer, so it's quite incongruous that one should actually end up being so heavily involved in something like this.
What did the men in grey suits think of you, a businessman, in a non-profit making
Oh,
project like this?
not very sympathetic at all. It's extraordinary. I think also the Inland Revenue and the Charity Commissioners couldn't believe that actually a guy who made a few bob running pubs and breweries in London was actually going to do something completely charitable and wasn't just setting up some clever offshore fund for tax reasons. Because it's extraordinary. They actually said I had to sign an affidavit that the boats would be solely and exclusively used for disabled people. I think they thought I was probably going to have a gin palace down at Teddington Lock or something.
Very restful, this, isn't it, Alan?
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful, yes.
It's been a relaxing week for you.
It certainly has, yes. Even we have managed to slow down from being disabled people. We've managed to slow down still further, if that's legal. People tend to look at disabled people and think they can't do anything, but often we're just looking for the challenge. On this boat we've managed to achieve the challenge and take it up and do things. It's been absolutely marvellous.
It seems like a great way to make friends.
It is. You never know who you're going to meet. I suppose the silliest thing really was when Hungerford got a new vicar a few years ago, we were just starting the project, and I hadn't in fact met him because he'd just moved out of Hungerford, not because he'd arrived. We stopped the boat just next to Hungerford churchyard one evening for a barbecue, and I got all the barbecue equipment, all the food, all the booze, and packed out in my car. And I was driving through the churchyard without permission, trespassing on church property to help my group have a lovely barbecue, and this vicar stepped out of the door and said, "Where are you going, young man?" So I thanked him for calling me young man, and we've been good mates ever since. So
actually have a canal then virtually in your back garden, don't you?
I'm very lucky, aren't I? It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
What's your fascination then with canals?
I think they're very hard to answer easily. It's this effort that's gone into building them that mankind has actually taken one of the great things of creation and used it for his own purposes to transport himself and his wares about the countryside.
The pace of life is so different when you're on a boat, isn't it?
Oh, very much so. The great difference between 2 miles an hour and 70 miles an hour, I can assure you. It's a wonderful healing process being made to slow down.
Like a river flows, ease my mind. See how the Spirit flows all the time. I can't really believe what is happening to me. Changes coming and going, but your love remains so strong and free. As long as you're still, he's around. See how the river flows all the
Help us, O Lord God our Father, look about us with the eyes of faith, that we may see the glory and the beauty that surrounds us. May we never forget your great love for us behind it all. Help us to be thankful to you for all your goodness to us, so that we can fully enjoy all you give us. In our darker moments, help us to see the glories of your creation, so we can know your power to lift up our hearts and to make all things well through Jesus Christ our Lord.
like a river flows.
May the Father who showed his works and wonders in the deep bless you. May Jesus who said to the waves, "Peace, be still," bless you. God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, bless you. Amen.
are the end, not just of a lovely day, but of a wonderful series of summer praise where I've been dipping my toe in waters from Scotland right down to North Devon. But although all good things must come to an end, just wait till you hear what's coming up, starting next week. A brand new series of Songs of Praise in which Alan Titchmarsh and I will be meeting you wherever you might be, and that won't always be in churches. For example, next week's programme comes from the magnificent Meadow Hall shopping centre in Sheffield, where there'll be plenty of room to squeeze in not just a full orchestra and 2 gospel choirs, but at least 2,000 voices from 150 churches all over the Sheffield area. So it promises to be quite an event. Sheffield. Well, this boat travels at about 4 miles per hour. I suppose with the wind behind me and an awful lot of luck, I should get there in time. But from me and from Summer Praise, for now, bye-bye.